Steven Seagal, originally pronounced Steven Seagal, actually, is an infamous action star of the 90s. He had movies that had very like quintessentially action movie-y names, like A Time to Kill in 1996, Under Siege, and The Patriot. He certainly isn't a star that is really like an A-lister in any way, and I don't think he ever really was. But he was a known enough name, and some of his movies did pretty well in the 90s. But now he's kind of garnered this almost like comic book level lore around him as like a villain. And again, I can't stress this enough. The man is a horrible person, but like in a way that's almost so outrageous that it kind of turns to comedy sometimes. Like you don't really know what to do with information. You just say, yeah, that's some Steven Seagal shit.
Yeah, I think I do want to clarify before we move on.
Okay.
If at any point during this podcast, any of you guys watching at home are like, they're being kind of mean, this is
We're not
rude. Number one, we're not. Okay. There will be much comedy in this podcast. But number two, I want everyone to remember, Seagal is legitimately like a bad person.
He's really
allegedly a much more terrible person.
The editor is gonna fucking break their thumbs putting allegedly in every single part of this because there's so much. Because there's also, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, but Seagal is like a habitual liar. So there's a lot of trying to purse through his lies, a lot of which he has to make himself sound more cool than he actually is. So, but for the sake of like kind of having a narrative around Steven Seagal, we're just going to say all of this is alleged. These are opinions.
Disclaimers presented here.
And of course, when we get to allegations of things, he has also denied all these things. There you go. But again, there is this kind of perverse mixture of comedy and horror.
Yes.
That you in some way need to prepare yourself for.
So
yeah,
I'll quickly say I've covered a few Seagal movies on my channel. His new stuff.
Yeah.
None of his old things. So there's just know that, right? His new movies are all terrible.
Yeah.
There are no exceptions. I haven't even seen all of them. There are no exceptions. It doesn't matter, right? So when I first came in contact with one of his movies, it just randomly was on Netflix. Someone put it on in the background. And I was just looking over and kept turning and I'm like, what the fuck am I watching right now? I was like, I have to watch this in full, which I did. Seagal caught me off guard because I knew very little about him at the time. Still kind of do. Like, I wasn't there for his heyday.
Yeah.
Where, you know, he was the big action star, or as he claimed, the biggest, you know, like a huge sex symbol. I wasn't there for that era of Seagal. All I saw was this, and I was like, I don't get it. What happened? Where was the drop off? What happened on this roller coaster of Seagalness? I need to know.
I mean, well, in the sense that I have older parents, and so occasionally they would like be playing one of those just like throwaway movies. So I kind of knew of the name Steven Seagal. Like I knew that he was an actor. I knew that he did like action movies in the 80s or 90s or something like that. But I wasn't really super familiar with him as an actor. And admittedly, I'm still not. Because to me, I think his acting is arguably the least interesting thing about Steven Seagal. He's, again, this kind of like cartoonish supervillain. So to see him in a movie just like kind of undermines how campy he is as a person. But I did actually see one of your videos about it, and I considered like going into more of his work. But I ended up finding out some fun facts in passing, and I said, this all must go to the wayside. Like I must learn the lore.